I would like to now introduce our third panelist, Mr. Akhil Tyagi. Akhil is the Area Director for South Asia at the International Trade Branch of the Ontario Ministry of Economic Development of Trade. Since 2006, Akhil has contributed to increase the export capabilities of several Ontario companies and has successfully led key trade missions to India that generated business opportunities for Ontario manufacturers and service providers. Akhil specializes in growth strategies with focus on globalization and in raising capital from domestic and international markets. Prior to joining the Ontario Ministry of Economic Development and Trade, he held several senior management and business development positions with leading engineering companies in India, including NEG Micon and Kirloskar Oil Engines. Akhil is a mechanical engineer from the Birla Institute of Technology and holds an MBA from the Rotman School of Management at the University of Toronto. He is a charter member of the Thai Toronto organization, which promotes Indian entrepreneurship. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Akhil Tyagi.
Thank you, Professor, for the kind introduction, and I thank all of you for giving us time to make this presentation to you. Most of what I had in my slides has been already covered, so I'll try and skip some slides faster than what I would have done otherwise. My presentation today would include a bit on macroeconomic factors or the drivers for growth which are critical at this point. Then I'll talk a bit about the engagement. What is government doing in this space? How can we be assisting the companies over here? Then I'll talk very briefly about how do you prepare for business in India. And in the end, I'll talk a bit about what do we do for the Ontario organizations. Just to give you a bit of overview, India is now around a 1.5 trillion economy. GDP is growing at a fast pace. Rana has already talked about it. The GDP, now the service sector is the major contributor to the GDP with over 50% contribution to its GDP. You have virtually all the major organizations, the Goldman Sachs, the RBCs, Deloitte's, Accenture, all of them have got their back office now in India. So they're leveraging the talent pool that is available to them in India. 1.2 billion people, third largest global economy by 2050. I agree with Rana when he said that. Growing middle class, Rana had around a figure of around $250 million, of 250 million people. My figure says around 350 million people join the middle class. So the GDP per capita is increasing. The distribution of population. India has the lowest mean average age in the BRIC countries. The mean age is around 25 years of age. So major manufacturing and service hub, possibly the next low-cost manufacturing center after China. Again, while India has abundance of skilled manpower, but this could be a shortcoming as we see further growth in India. So because of which the Indian corporate houses are now forging alliances with the education institutes to start up their own education or universities primarily. We have an example where GMR has recently tied up with the Schulich Management School to start a management institute in India. The foreign direct investment currently estimated at around over $300 billion as of 21st October. The major top sectors which attract foreign investment are the service sector, the telecommunications, automotive, power, real estate, and construction. Trade and investment, India exports something around over $250 billion worth of goods and services, and this has been increasing at a fast pace. It increased around 40% over the previous year. Canadian exports to India is around $2.12 billion. Total Indian imports is over $360 billion. The Canadian exports to India is around $2.15 billion. The targeted bilateral trade between India and Canada is expected to be, or the target that has been given to the governments is to raise it to $15 billion by 2015. This is a target assumed by both the governments in 2010. The Canadian direct investment in India in 2010 was around $500 million, whereas Indian investment in Canada was to the tune of $6.6 billion. What's happening over here is the Indian organizations are going global. They are making acquisitions, which would give them access to the markets, which would give them access to technologies. This is primarily driving their appetite for new companies abroad. The Indian companies are also looking at IPs, and one of the best way for them to go and expand is to make acquisition for IPs. Other factors which are contributing towards the growth, the infrastructure is in a bad shape. There's a lot of need to improve the infrastructure in India. Rana talked about the construction, the roads, highways, water management. Talk about any infrastructure. That's where you'll see phenomenal growth coming in. India expects to invest around $1.3 trillion in next 5 to 10 years' time. The policy reforms are taking place. We are seeing, or we are expecting, opening up of retail and mining sector. The mining bill is still pending for ratification. As Nav said, it takes time. The mining bill has been for ratification for the last 3 years. But once that bill comes in, it would be one of the best mining policy that you would see globally. Competition among Indian states. The Indian states are competing against each other to have foreign investments in those states or attract even the domestic companies. One good example is when Tata Motors wanted to start its manufacturing plant in one of these states, which is known as West Bengal. They hit a snag. Gujarat, which is a very dynamic state, moved in very fast to secure that investment. Investment was around $240 odd million. The other states which are aggressive in attracting investment is Maharashtra. We see Tamil Nadu, we see Delhi also catching up over there. The other driver is the special economic zone. What India has done, they've created clusters for different sectors and industries. And they've given those spaces designation of special economic zone, which is kind of where they provide financial incentives and other incentives to attract companies and start their operations. I'll talk a bit about engagement. What is the level of engagement? At what level is Canada engaging India? To start with, we talk about the social side, the development assistance. In 2006, India decided that they will not take aid from anywhere in the world. And then what we were left with was to support the Indian community or the Indian population through the NGOs, non-government organizations. And our Canadian International Development Agency is doing a fabulous job over there. We are supporting different initiatives in India through NGOs and other stakeholders. Again, which is generating goodwill in India. This is kind of a branding exercise that we are doing. We also have some other very specific initiatives which are run out of Canadian High Commission, New Delhi. On the security side, there's a group which discusses on a frequent basis the issues which relate to terrorism, the issues which relate to security, counterterrorism, foreign policy. India and Canada are partnering with respect to what's happening in Afghanistan. So what happens after 2014, they are developing a plan for that. Stakeholder involvement. There is a drive to involve as many stakeholders in this arena. The provincial governments are playing more important role as we see nowadays. Virtually every province has got its mission going to India. Now, Ontario, BC, Quebec, they already have their offices in India. Ontario has got 2 offices, one in New Delhi and other in Mumbai. BC has got its office, Quebec has got its office in Bangalore. So you'll see more and more engagement from the provincial side. You'll also see municipal governments taking an active role when it comes to India. They're taking an active role globally, but India more so. And we have a lot of municipalities which are now leading their business delegations to India. The associations, Canada-India Business Council is a great example of the involvement of association. What Rana told you is the business aspect of what they're doing. The other aspect that Rana is involved is promoting the Canadian interest in India, be it informal engagement when it comes to CEPA or other issues. So that's again where the governments are leveraging the strength of their associations. Trade and investment, there are several bilateral agreements that are in place. Canada is negotiating a comprehensive partnership agreement. Foreign investment promotion and protection agreement is in place now. Nuclear cooperation agreement is under negotiation, which will open a lot of opportunities for our companies in the nuclear domain, not only for the large technology companies like the CANDU reactors, but also for the peripheral technologies where we have got greater strength in Canada. Science and technology agreement, again a partnership bilateral agreement where Indian government and Canadian government have contributed around $13.5 million to promote science and technology partnership between these two countries. Every year we see something around over 15 companies which benefit out of this agreement. This agreement primarily promotes arrangement between a company, a university from both of these countries. So again, a good way to engage the new emerging technologies. Cooperation in mining, higher education, and culture. This cooperation agreement was signed in the year 2010 during the G20 summit when Prime Minister Manmohan Singh from India was here and Prime Minister Stephen Harper. They resolved that they would be enhancing the cooperation on these other sectors. Ontario also has got a mining cooperation agreement with India. It is for the first time that we've seen India has got into an agreement with a subnational jurisdiction, and Ontario has the privilege of having a mining promotion agreement with India now. Establishment, Canada has the largest mission outside Canada. It is in India. They have over 3 consulates, 4 trade offices, in addition to the Canadian High Commission office in New Delhi. So one of the largest establishments that we see. Few provinces, I've already talked about the provinces having started their offices in India. Operational side, Canada is, we are seeing a lot of engagement on the business side. The governments are leading business delegation, be it the federal government or the provincial government or the municipal government. And we have 3 trade missions planned from the provincial side itself for this financial year. And these trade missions primarily are targeted on specific sectors. We also have signature missions which are either led by the cabinet ministers or the premier of province or the provincial ministers. Again, these missions, they open doors for companies which otherwise would have been very difficult for companies to do. It also provides access to these companies at the highest level. If companies are wanting to navigate through the maze, if one would say, then these are the missions that really help companies to do that. We also engage the business community when they bring in delegations from the other side. And India, we have seen a lot of business delegation coming from India in last 2 years. Doing business in India, this is a slide that I would like to spend a bit time on. What is required to do business in India? What should you be looking at? What are the critical factors? To succeed in India, you must develop an association with a local firm. India is such a complex country where whatever you say, generally the opposite also comes true. The complexity is with respect to the the size of the operation, the size of the country. You have over 20 languages spoken throughout that country. The diversity is so huge. You definitely need an Indian partner or Indian person to help you navigate all of those challenges. Not to talk about the corruption and the bureaucratic hurdles that are there. The most common way for Canadian companies to do business, one of the starting way, would be to have a sales representative or agent with technical capabilities. Indian companies, when you interact with them, you'll find them talking to you or interacting with you on technology a lot. And so it is good to have any agent who would also have technical capabilities with them. Based on your cost of manufacturing, it may be prudent for some companies to have manufacturing base in India, especially in the arena of automotive or advanced manufacturing, where shipment costs are exorbitant. Or if you would want to take advantage of low-cost manufacturing capabilities that India has to offer. Selecting the correct partner or agent must be given careful consideration. And this I've highlighted over here primarily because one of the biggest challenges that you will have in India is to find the right partner. If you are unable to find a good partner, you may be blocking your options in India. So it is imperative that you spend a lot of time identifying, assessing, and then concluding your deal with the right partner. So that's one of the most important things that you have to have. Protect your IP by working with an Indian law firm or IPR consultants. Register yourself with INPI. Your choice of agent or partner is critical to protecting your IP. IP, while India has similar legal system, they also have very sound IP protection laws. The challenge over here is how do you get a ruling from the court. So once a case goes to the court, it takes ages for the case to be settled. And one of the biggest saying is, you file a case, your grandson may see the day, when it's settled. So that's a big challenge. One other way, or shortcut to that would be, if you are getting into any agreement with any company, have an arbitration clause, and pick up a neutral country. Could be UK, could be Singapore, and have that as your primary arbitration clause will help you in a big way. So that's another one. Canadian companies must consult with a local law firm before signing with an Indian partner. Many of Canadian law firms have associates or partners in India. As per current ruling in India, the lawyers who are of Indian origin can practice, and they conform to the norms of Indian law legal system. They can get themselves registered and can also practice in India. So some of our law firms are now looking at that option, and it would be a good idea to consult your law firms over here. The other thing which I would also, which is not, I haven't highlighted over here, but look at, when you're doing business with India, just do not look at India and Canada space. Think beyond India and Canada space. Look at how can you leverage the strength of other countries to target opportunities in India. I'll give you a few examples, over here. We have a great company, one of the large consulting organization in environmental technology, Ivey India from Ottawa. When they went to India, they did not have a complete basket of services which Indian organizations were wanting. Indian organizations, they're looking for solution. They're not looking in parts and pieces. So Ivey India came back, then they went to UK to partner with one of the large corporations over there. And with this alliance, they won a large contract in India. The contract size was around over $300 million, which then went on to be increased to somewhere around $900 million. Ivey's contribution was somewhere around $27 million. But again, nevertheless, Ivey would not have been able to win this contract without the help of their partners in UK. Another example for a very small technology company, new startup by the name of PowerWatch, which is coming from Oakville. This company, when they went to India, again, their solution was just one piece in the whole puzzle. They were not an attractive company, and they were not getting enough traction, or the Indian companies were not ready to talk to them. This company went and partnered with an American company by the name of Zoom, and they brought in an Indian partner, Mahindra Tech. And as a combination, these three companies forged a strategic alliance to target opportunities in India. In October, they were with us. Out of 10 large utilities, 6 utilities have already placed pilot project order with the Power Zone. Now, that's the name of the alliance. So when you're looking at India, look at how can you provide solution to the Indian organization. The Indian, whether it's the government or a company, all of them are looking for a solution. They're not looking for individual technologies. So look beyond your arena and see if you can bring in strategic partners over there. I've already talked about the relevance of other countries, but one more point which I think we need to understand is what's happening in India with respect to energy and with respect to other utilities. India is hungry for energy, and because of that, they are looking at strategic relationships beyond their borders. There's a race between India and China to tap energy resources in Africa or other parts of the world. It's not only energy, but even the resources. And this is something which you'll have to keep in mind, the appetite for the need of these resources, which is driving India's acquisition abroad. If we see Indian companies making acquisition, you'll also find a lot of acquisition in the space of resources. I'll just briefly talk about what we do and how can we assist you companies, the companies that you would be working with. How can we assist these companies to navigate the India system? We provide one-on-one market consulting to companies, where we help companies develop marketing strategies, primarily for entry into Indian market. We help companies to gain insight into Indian markets, whether it's specific sectors or general information. We help companies to identify leads. We also help them to gather commercial intelligence. Business-to-business matchmaking, that's very important of space that we play in. We help you connect with the right partners in India. We provide guidance on outbound investments to our companies. We organize customized programs in key markets, primarily to help you partner or tap the orders in those markets. We also provide advocacy services. This is more relevant for the large corporations like Bombardier or the SNCs, where if they need the politicians to come and play or advocate on their behalf, that's another thing that we do for them. We showcase Ontario product and services internationally. We take spaces in large trade shows. We host Ontario companies in those trade shows. The federal government does it for the Canadian companies. We do lead signature trade missions. I've talked about the signature missions in the past. We develop a global mindset at the community level. We use different strategies over here, be it the media or be it other campaigns that we do, but we're trying to develop a global mindset at the community level. Most programs and activities are delivered in partnership with the key stakeholders, and I talked about CIBC, organizations like CIBC. The organization-wise, we've divided our branch into 3 geographic regions: United States, Mexico, and European Union. That's one part of the branch. We have China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, Eastern Europe, Middle East, and South America. That's another unit that we have. India, Southeast Asia, Africa, international financial institutions, and special projects. That's the division that I am in. We've got 19 consultants. Primarily, most of them are focused on geographic region, except for US. Multilingual capabilities, we talk 14 languages. So most likely, you'll find somebody who can communicate in your language. We also have community export development, a person who helps in community export development or primarily works with the communities over here. We also have in-market representatives. We have 4 of them, Mexico, Brazil, Chile, and UAE. This is in addition to our offices, 10 offices that we have in different regions of the world. Target markets, it's a balance between the developed and the emerging markets now. And then the priority sectors that we trade with India: auto, advanced manufacturing, infrastructure, life sciences, ICT. The sectors that we've chosen are the sectors which are aligned with our capabilities over here. And this is also to address the needs of Indian market. We are adding civil nuclear, mining, and aerospace. This is from me, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you so much.
Barriers to entry are some of the most difficult things to negotiate when you're trying to enter a country, and I think it's impressive to see what the Ontario government is doing to help Canadian businesses and businesses in Ontario negotiate barriers to entry.